The legacy we leave is almost never the one we spent the most energy constructing. The performance, the public image, the carefully managed version of ourselves that we offered the world, these are not, in the end, what persists. What persists is something quieter, something that the people who actually knew us carry, not the image, not the role, but the person. The specific, particular person who existed behind everything else. Rock Hudson was, through the 1950s and 1960s, one of the most successful actors in Hollywood. He had a particular kind of presence on screen, large, warm, easy to like, that translated into extraordinary commercial success. His romantic comedies, with Doris Day in particular, produced a kind of chemistry that audiences of the period responded to enormously. He was charming. He was reliable. He was, by all visible measures, exactly the person his publicity suggested he was. And the publicity was very carefully maintained. Because the person Rock Hudson presented to the public, the straightforward, uncomplicated, all-American movie star, was a construction. A very skillful one, maintained over decades with considerable effort and considerable cost. The real Rock Hudson was a more complex and more privately held person, whose interior life was very different from the image his career required. He was gay, in an era when that could not be publicly acknowledged, and he lived with the particular weight of carrying something essential about himself in permanent concealment. The warmth was real. The humor was real. But they were offered through a mask that he maintained because the alternative, the full, unmasked truth, was not available to him in the world he inhabited. When he became seriously ill in 1985, publicly acknowledging his diagnosis in the final months of his life in a statement that was one of the first by a major public figure, something changed. The mask was down. Not entirely by choice, and not without enormous cost, but down. And in the period between that acknowledgement and his death a few months later, he was, by accounts of people who were with him, a different kind of present. Less managed, more directly himself. As though the tremendous energy that had been going into the construction was suddenly available for something else. For actual connection. For the specific, personal, unperformed things he had been wanting to say to the people who mattered most. What he talked about in those final months was friendship. Specifically, the friendships that had known him, not Rock Hudson the movie star, but Roy Fitzgerald from Winnetka, Illinois, the person underneath all of it. The friends who had been in the room when the persona was off, who had laughed with him at things that couldn't be part of the public story, who had known what he was carrying and had chosen to be present with him anyway. He said those friendships were the thing he was most grateful for, and the thing he most hoped would outlast the films. Not the roles. The actual knowing. The actual being known. To be actually known. Not the version of you that you managed for the world, but the real one, the complicated, specific, privately held one that you have sometimes wondered if anyone truly sees. That is what Rock Hudson wanted to leave behind. The memory, in the people who had it, of who he actually was. Maybe you've thought about what you want to leave behind. Not in a formal, estate planning sense. but in the deeper sense of what you hope the people who knew you will carry. What they will say in the quiet when they think of you. What the memory of you will feel like to the people for whom you are irreplaceable. Not your achievements, those will be noted and they matter, but the particular quality of who you were to the people closest to you. What it felt like to be in the room with you. What you gave, specifically, that only you could give. Most of us, when we think about legacy in this form, discover something interesting. The things we worked hardest on, the accomplishments we poured the most effort into, are often not the things that come up. What comes up is something more personal. The quality of attention they received from you. The way you made them feel seen. The specific generosity not of money or time in the formal sense, but of genuine regard that you extended to them in the ordinary moments. These are the things that last. These are the legacy. Rock Hudson's films are still watched. His talent was real, and it is still visible. And people who encounter those comedies for the first time respond to the warmth that is there, the genuine warmth, the real thing, visible even through the construction. But what the people who knew him most closely carry is not the films. It is the specific, personal, unmistakable quality of him, the humor that was quick and surprising, the loyalty that was deep and consistent, the warmth that was, in its private expression, even more genuine than what the screen could show. Those things live in specific people, and they are, by any measure, the truer legacy. There is something almost quietly liberating in that understanding. The legacy that matters most is not the one that requires a lifetime of performance. It is the one that is built in the ordinary interactions, in the way you treat people, in the attention you bring to the people close to you, in the specific quality of your presence in the specific moments that make up the actual texture of your relationships. That legacy builds itself, not through effort, but through genuine showing up, through being actually present, actually interested, actually there. What is the specific thing that the people who love you carry from being around you? What do you give them that they carry with them? What would they say if asked to describe what you have meant that would be specific to you and no one else? That specificity, the unmistakable you-ness of your contribution to the people closest to you, is the legacy. And it is being built, or not built, in the ordinary moments of this ordinary week. Rock Hudson, in the last months of his life, understood this in a way that the earlier years of performance had obscured. The films had been good. The career had been remarkable. But what he held on to, in the time he had, was the knowledge that some people had known him, actually known him, past the construction and into the real thing. And that knowing was, in the end, the whole of what mattered. To have been genuinely known. To have been genuinely present in someone's life in a way that would leave a specific trace. That was the legacy worth having. Maybe this week is a good week to tend that legacy. Not the public one, if you have one, but the personal one. The one that is built in the kitchen, and the phone call, and the lunch that goes longer than it needed to, and the specific attention you bring to the specific people for whom you are irreplaceable. That legacy doesn't require performance. It requires presence. The genuine, unmanaged, unmistakable kind. The kind that only you can offer. And that the people close to you are already receiving in whatever form you are currently offering it. There is one more dimension worth holding. Something about what it means to be known. Not just to know others, but to be known yourself. To have someone in your life who sees past the managed version to the real one. Who knows your history, your specific fears, your particular humor that doesn't always land with strangers. Who has been in enough of the ordinary moments with you that they carry an accurate image of who you actually are. That kind of knowing is one of the rarest and most valuable things a life can contain. Rock Hudson had a few people like that. And the accounts of those relationships, the depth of loyalty, the quality of the laughter, the particular ease of being with someone who doesn't require any performance from you, suggest that those were the hours he lived most fully. Not the premieres, not the interviews, not the professional triumphs, however real and significant. The hours with the people who knew him, who needed nothing from him except for him to be there, and who gave him, in return, the rarest thing, the experience of being completely, freely himself. Do you have someone like that? Someone who knows you, the real version, not the managed one, and who is glad of it? Who you can be with without the effort of presentation? Who makes you feel that the real you, in all its specificity and complication, is enough? That is worth protecting. And if you have it, it is worth tending with more deliberate care than ordinary relationships tend to receive. Because that particular knowing, that particular ease of being fully yourself with another person, is not common. And it is, in the end, the thing that makes a life most livable. So take a slow breath and offer a little more of it this week. Not perfectly, not as a formal decision, just more. More of the real you. More of the actual presence. More of the specific generosity that only you can give. That is the legacy Rock Hudson most hoped would last. And it is the one that is available to you in full every single day.